أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، وبعد. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا، اللهم زدنا علما وارزقنا فهما يا رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. After we praise the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, peace and blessings unto our beloved Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his families, friends, and all those who follow him. My respected brothers and sisters, beloved viewers, allow us to continue speaking about the scientific side of the fasting, where when fast, your health improves. As the Nabi salawatullahi alayhi have said, tasumu tasihhu. You fast and you become healthy. And also, we must understand that the Nabi salawatullahi alayhi ma yantiqu anil hawa in huwa illa wahyun yuha. He does not speak about his own desire. Whatever he says is instructions and a wahy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now when we ponder this and we see that the Nabi himself was not a scientist, but he brought us stuff like the fasting ibadats. And that in itself, apart from getting Allah's reward and being forgiving us, but in the same time, the Nabi was also there to bring us action and things to better our health that we all are looking for. So here we find a Swiss doctor. He says that so many ailments has been cured within my family through fasting. And also there's a book available, The Hunger for Health. Call it Hunger for Health, by a certain professor that wrote it. And that book was released in 1976. And there it's emphasized when you abstain from food for 3 to 4 weeks, every year, it is nothing but it will bring good for your health and for your body, for that matter. And you know, we look at that and we say, look where the Nabi salawatullahi alayhi said to us, how many years back already, where he said, لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ زَكَاةٌ وَزَكَاةُ الْجَسَدِ الصَّوْمُ. For everything, there is a purifier. And the purification for the body is fasting. Now let us pause there for a moment. And we see, when we speak about purifying the body, we can look at two things here. Purifying the body from ailments, which the fasting is telling us, like we have said, the Nabi said, tasumu tasihhu, fast and you become healthy. And you purify the body from sins. And this is exactly when we fast, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive us. And of course, as the month goes, we will touch on many things that is connected to the forgiveness. Now looking at that, where we find then, you purify the body from ailments and you purify the body from sins. Subhanallah. Therefore, we find that the Nabi salawatullahi alayhi have said also, alaykum bis-siyam, keep steadfast with the fasting. فَإِنَّهُ لَا مِثْلَ لَهُ. As indeed, there is nothing like that equal to that. Equal in the sense that if we do it, we not only obtain forgiveness from the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but our health also improves. Subhanallah. That is what we can understand then automatically. Inna ad-deena inda Allahi al-Islam. Verily the religion by Allah is al-Islam. Because Islam is holistic. It comes and covers everything. Ma faratna fil kitabi min shay. We did not leave anything out of this book, the Quran, according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in His glorious Quran. And in the same time, it reminds me also of a great scholar by the name of Shaykh Hassan al-Basri. He said, and if I look to how you people and the ummah of Muhammad in general are doing in Ramadan, he said, Inna Allah ja'ala as-sawm midmaran li'ibadi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this fasting a field of ibadat for His slaves. لِيَسْتَبِقُوا إِلَى طَاعَتِي, so that they can compete towards the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Isn't this exactly what you all are doing? Not that you are competing, but at the end of the day, you tell yourself that I want to be a better person. And Ramadan assists us, because if we look to the wisdom of the fasting, Allah tells us in the Quran, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you can obtain that Allah consciousness. And we all know in Ramadan, we are semi-malaikats. I always say this. My beloved brothers and sisters, like we say, the fasting, according to medical science, destroy all bad cells within the body. It gives you a better health, for that matter. And also, it brings us that Allah consciousness that we never had before. And through that Allah consciousness, that taqwa, you automatically get that particular acceptance of your ibadah. Because Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu anha, she mentioned something like this by saying, Ja'alallahu siyaman, Allah made the fasting whereby you demonstrate your sincerity. You demonstrate then automatically your Allah consciousness when you do that fasting. And through that, we find then, because of that level of your taqwa and your Allah consciousness that you obtain in Ramadan, and as I said, you become semi-malaikats basically. We become semi-malaikats. We just want to do this good. Therefore, we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Hadith al-Qudsi take ownership of that reward of the fasting, where He says, فَإِنَّهُ لِي, verily this fasting is only for me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, by doing that, فَأَنَا أَجْزِيَ بِهِ, and I will reward that particular individual. And when Allah speaks about that, it will be beyond the imagination of mankind. You cannot imagine that forgiveness and that what is in the waiting for you the day of Qiyamah. Only Allah knows, because Allah take ownership of that reward for you. And, you know, we look at all these things that Allah has given us to do in the month of Ramadan. And of course, Allah has encouraged us to do it. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam encouraged us to do it, so that we can obtain forgiveness, because Allah wants to forgive us. And therefore, we have that understanding. مَنْ لَمْ يُغْفَرْ فِي رَمَضَانِ فَفِي أَيِّ شَهْرٍ يُغْفَرْ. If a person is not forgiven in the month of Ramadan, whereby he shows that sincerity, if he does not obtain forgiveness with all these that Allah has made available in the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, فَبِأَيِّ شَهْرٍ, in which month will you then really be forgiven? Ya Rab. And you know, I look at also how the people are doing their Salatul Taraweeh, mashallah. Not found in other months, only in Ramadan. I look at that and I say, Subhanallah, that in itself reflects something very great and will be rewarded accordingly. One of the Sahabis, by the name of Rabi'. He came to the Nabi Muhammad salawatullahi alayhi. But I think that hadith, that communication between the Sahabi by the name of Rabi' and the Nabi, we're going to do in our next program, because that to me is a reflection. What you are doing is a reflection of how you demonstrate your sincerity and your love for this religion of ours. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all our ibadats. And may Allah make us of those that will obtain His forgiveness. And may Allah forgive us, forgive our parents, those that has passed on. May Allah grant them and all of us Jannatul Firdaus. Wa akhiru da'wahum anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.